Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Had to get me something to drink to do my reading by. Yeah, it's just a soda. Walmart Great Value soda. If anybody's interested, I am online and ready to read. Chapter 5. Moving on. All right, let's get started. Chapter 5. Ray's anti-radiation shielding double front, Steven says, shielding double rear. As he activates his Viper's landing lights, the dim light in the metal conduit gets dimmer by the meter as he flies through the tunnel. He can see pipes and conduits and such lining the walls of the tunnel ahead. The conduit is big enough for a Viper to pass through, single file, as blaster fire passes by to either side from behind. And here's one of the 3 Goonie birds, U-wings, explode behind them, followed by one of the Vipers. Tiger 12. You keep a tab on time to target, he asks. Roger, Tiger 4, Rena says flatly. I can't keep up, Tiger Leader. One of his pilots screams out and explodes as he's hit from behind by the all-black Scorpion. It was one of the few Vipers gets to the vent, leaving Tiger 3 and Tiger 12, in addition to Puma 4, the only surviving U-wing, to get this far. Increase the war power now, Steven says, pushing the throttles past the red line. 1,000,001. These tunnels are too narrow for proper maneuvering at those speeds, Rena says over the comms. Do as I order now, Steven says flatly. You can see the tunnel widening as they near the core of the station. It's cavernous as it appears on a modern monitor in front of him, thanks to the Viper's hyper radar system. 100 meters, Tiger 3 calls out. Stephen flies clear the tunnel into the monstrous, massive core room of the Dark Star, followed by the other Vipers and the one remaining U-wing. He can see several cooling towers and many tunnel entrances around the core room. Rena, you and Tiger 3 make your way to the surface. Puma 4 and I will remain behind to make our shots. Stephen orders, seeing how the core dwarfs everything in the room. Roger, Tiger 4. Both pilots say call out as they take out one cooling tower and then make for a tunnel entrance that hopefully will lead to the surface and safety. As soon as you are ready, take your shot, Puma 4, Steven says. Roger. The pilot gets out before being taken out by the black scorpion. Damn, Steven says as he arms his last remaining missiles. The two with dark matter warheads and the two standard missiles. He has had a target lock on the core vents since entering the tunnel. They're away, he says as the missiles are let loose from beneath the fuselage and shoot towards the shoot forward at hypervelocity. The lead missiles explode against the ventilation louvers, blowing a hole, followed a microsecond later by the dark matter missiles. We have a confirmed hit, he yells over the comms. He dashes for the tunnel Tiger 3 and 12 had dove in 2 seconds before. His engine's at full throttle. Okay. Gets interesting. Come on, kids, Septietrich calls out. Julia has her eyes closed as she prays for Stephen, her lover. As they sit in the cockpit, waiting as a dark star. Yeah.
Where's your envelope? Your bag?
What? Oh.
That was in there. I've been looking everywhere.
Sorry. I didn't know it was in there. Sorry. Sorry about that. Where was I? Oh, sorry, my friends. Distracted for a second, but that's all right. Let's start back over where I stopped. Come on, kid, Septietrich calls out. Julie has her eyes closed. Yeah, she prays for Stephen, her lover, as they sit in the cockpit watching as the dark star starts to convulse. The reactor's core begins to detonate. They'd heard his last words that the dark matter missiles hit their target, but that was the last they heard from him. Not good. The two dark specks appear from one vent, and the lighter colored one jumps away as the darker colored one as does the darker colored speck. The Viper Stephen piloted pops up, smoking and leaking coolant just behind and above the Eagle. That's not good. Just as the Dark Star implodes in on itself, then goes up like a mini supernova. The battle was over, and the Imperial fleet was defeated. Either some escaped or surrendered, or were nothing but balls of gas and debris. Nothing left. Stephen! Julia calls out, seeing as Viper was damaged but still flyable. And leaking coolant. Ace! Sep calls out. I'm going to need a tow back home, Sep. Stephen says over the overhead monitor in the cockpit. I burnt out every circuit and relay and most of my fuel as I got out of the station. You got it, partner, Sep says, smiling. I'll need life support as well, Stephen says. You got it there, partner. I got you there, partner, Stephen. Rena says she shoots an umbilical to the side of Stephen's Viper, providing life support. Thanks a lot, Sep. Rena, Stephen says. They do not see the strain in his eyes, though. And all this is Julia says a silent prayer to her God. All right, take a break for a moment. Sorry for being late starting. I just got a little behind on my time. Went grocery shopping with my mom at Food Line and forgot where it was. Didn't look at the time when I left. But that's okay. Mom's more important. Hey. I hope you guys like this so far. Okay, back to my reading. Stephen is unconscious when his Viper is towed into the central hangar bay. Nobody knows why till they climb up next to the cockpit canopy. We need a medic team over here, one ground crewman calls out. Julia rushes up to kneel beside her unconscious boyfriend as medics and ground crew gently and carefully lower the unconscious boy to the ground and lay him on a hover gurney. She then notices a long metal beam sticking out of the port side fuselage just below the armored cockpit. Is he okay? She asks. Concerned for the hero of the void, not just her boyfriend. Seeing smoke rise from inside the cockpit of his damaged Y wing. Right. Here we go. Julia, he says, smiling before passing out as he's given something for the pain. He also sees Rena still wearing her combat helmet and Tiger 3 standing beside the gurney. A med tech works on the nasty leg wound where a long piece of metal, rebar, protrudes from his left thigh. The other works on a nasty looking laceration to his forehead. He'll be fine, Your Highness, the lead med tech says. He just passed out from the painkillers we gave him. He did a bang-up job patching up his wounds, though, doing it one-handed by the looks of things. Thank the gods, Rena says, closing her eyes. The Earth President, the King, and other rebel leaders gather around the growing group of admirers. Stephen is now being taken to the nearest medical center for treatment. Tiger 3 talks avidly with the President and the King. Her name is Hannah Baxter. While others touch the battered fuselage of Tiger 4 so that they can say they were there for a historical moment. Wow. Will he survive? Julia asks. His wounds are non-life threatening, Your Highness. The lead med tech replies. Okay, now a little break and a drink. I love my book so far. Just take a little break. If anybody likes my book, give me a thumbs up and make comments. Positive or negative, doesn't matter. I will respond. I will take care of any suggestions to changes. As long as they're constructive, not rude, please. I don't like rude criticism. I do take constructive criticism, but I also won't. I don't like foul language in here. That's all I gotta say. Now, sorry. Back to the book. Let's see. 3 more pages after this in this chapter. In hours, news of the great rebel victory at the Battle of the Void spread across the galaxy. What the name of Tiger 4? Stephen's call sign. But not his real name as yet. But his scorched Viper now sits in a place of honor in the courtyard of the royal palace. Battered and scorched. In all rebel worlds, celebrations commence for a week of a great victory over the evil empire. This great victory over the evil empire. The emperor has put a price on Tiger 4's head, and Princess Julius as well, whose face was prevalent in the operation that led to the theft of Dark Star's plans. Whoops. Her face is evident in the CCTV film. She was well known as the youngest member of the Imperial Senate at the age of 18. Wow. But not a spy, the Rebel Alliance. But now she was caught red handed stealing the plans on video. Stephen's leg wound was healing thanks to laser fusers and nanites working internally to accelerate the healing process, along with the facial scar. The scars will be gone in just a few days. All right. Stephen recuperates in the Royal Centauri Prime Med Center after the steel bar was surgically removed. The facial scar was closed. There is to be an award ceremony for him and the other pilots who fought and died in the battle, trying to save peace in the galaxy and stopping the Dark Star before it destroyed more worlds. An hour before, Julia Lurkin visited him in his hospital room. Oops. Naughty, naughty. But they have no idea that her father knows about her nocturnal adventures outside the palace, and that she's been with Stephen in the hospital. But he sees how happy Stephen has made her since they first met. He plans to talk with the young man after the ceremony. Give me a second, sorry. Stephen, I want you to know that you're a hero to the people of the galaxy and to the rebellion. Rena says as she pushes a mechanical wheelchair with Stephen seated in it, and Hannah Baxter, Tiger 3, stands behind them. Before a massive closed steel door awaits the signal to enter the amphitheater. I only wish my mom and dad were here, Stephen says, sad-eyed. Rena and Hannah look at each other, exchanging knowing smiles. You looking for us? They hear the familiar voice of his mom say, smiling, looking into his face. Then his dad looks over his other shoulder. Mom, Dad, Stephen cries out, seeing them. Tears fill his eyes. His mom hugs him from behind. Sorry. I know it's all fictional, but it makes me cry. At the same time, Rena and Hannah Baxter smile as at the happy reunion. Something that's happening only to a few people. But Hannah has no idea where her family is or that they got off the earth alive either. How? Yes, flabbergasted. The princess, Julia, found them some 8 hours ago in a relocation center. Hannah says. Okay. I am so happy to be with you guys again, Mom. Stephen says, crying. We had no idea that you were even alive, son, his father says, resting his hand on Stephen's shoulder. One more happily reunited family, Rena says, smiling, nodding. No, Hannah has no idea if her own family is still alive since they were born in the English Union on Earth. All right, 2 more pages. And I thought I'd lost you after all this short a time, Stephen says as he wipes his tears away. He reaches up to wipe his mom's tears away too. The massive steel door opens as horns bleed out. Whatever. And they can see people on either side of the long aisle, leading up to a raised stage with many rebel leaders and others standing, waiting for them to approach. A ramp leading up to the stage. Nice ramp. Rena steps aside so that Stephen's dad can push his wheelchair out of respect for the family. But Hannah is so sad under the guise of a smile. Happy for the kid, but sorry that they have no word on her own family's whereabouts. But as she approaches the base of the ramp, "Mommy, Daddy!" she screams, but regains her composure. A more happily reunited family, Rena says to herself. Not an hour ago, Princess Larkin found us in a relocation center in the edge of town. Her dad says as she stands up next to them, grinning ear to ear. Rena and Hannah were part of the ceremony as they were part of the victory over the Empire and the dreaded Dark Star. Even though they only took part in the station, they helped destroy the station in their small part. So they received distinguished service and valor medals. Stephen gets the same medals plus the Earth's highest medal, the Earth Medal of Honor. The Centauri Bronze Medal of Distinction, and a Purple Heart. Stephen and the other heroes are applauded and cheered as the ceremony ends, and they all turn to face the crowd. But above and behind the crowd are three-dimensional images of those pilots lost the battle. The king turns to his daughter Julia and whispers, "You may stand beside Stephen." The king says, smiling, "I've seen the way you have acted since he arrived on Prime. I know that you snuck off to be and been with him, too. You cannot deny it. Just stand beside Stephen." "Thank you, Daddy," Julia says, smiling as she moves over behind Stephen and his parents. "Oops. I will have a private chat after this is over, son," the king says in Stephen's ear as he hangs the medals around his neck. Then pins the Purple Heart. Pins the Purple Heart on his chest, breastplate, but whatever. "Yes, Your Highness," Steve says, smiling. All right. Last page. "Your Highness, please let me explain," Stephen starts saying. "Son, I just want to know only one thing." King Alfonso Larkin II says as they sit down in his private quarters, raising one hand to stop the boy. "Yes, Your Highness?" Stephen asks. "I only want to know what your intentions are with my daughter, Stephen, correct?" the king says. "Your Highness, I am very much in love with your daughter, Princess Julia," Stephen says. Sorry, give me a sec. I sneeze. Where was I? "Stephen is my given name, correct? I am deeply in love with your daughter. I never felt this way either till I met her. I was intending to ask you for her hand in marriage when this was over. Did you two consummate your love?" the queen asks now matter-of-factly. "Whoops." 2 times before the battle, Your Highness," Stephen admits, shocked by her direct, abrupt question. "Son, I am happy that honor still runs among humans like us in our day and age, and would ask for my daughter's hand in marriage, like you did." He raises his voice. "Come here, young lady." "Yes, Daddy?" Julia asks, now entering her private office. "Looks like we have a royal wedding to plan," her father says, smiling, reaching out to take Stephen's hand and shake it. Julia runs up and hugs him. "Welcome to the family, son," the king says to Stephen. All right, my friends, that is chapter 5. What do you think? I destroyed the Dark Star and I destroyed the Earth. Well, Earth is destroyed in chapter 1, but I destroyed the Dark Star in chapter 5. The story gets a little more tangled as you go. I won't explain anything what happens in the next. I'll just say this: it gets a little more strange, unusual, as the story goes. You'll just have to wait and see what happens. Now, if you liked what I've read so far, please like again and leave comments. I'll read them and I'll respond. Thank you, my friends, and have a good day.